You've spent hours on this piece. The rendering looks great. The colors are working. But something still feels off. The face is slightly uneven, the pose is stiff, and the hair just isn't doing what you wanted. And the last thing you want to do is redraw everything from scratch. In this video, I'll show you exactly how I use Liquify and Puppet Warp in Clip Studio Paint to fix that last 5% without drawing anything new. Quick setup note. I'm on an iPad 8th Gen using Clip Studio Paint version 5. If you're on desktop, the menus may look slightly different, but the tools are in the same logical places. Puppet Warp lives under Edit Transform, while Liquify is in your tool panel on the left side. In simple mode, both tools are accessible from the right-hand menu. Let's keep moving. Before we go deeper, here's the most important thing to understand. These tools are not interchangeable. Each one has a job. Liquify is for small local pushes. Think one eye is slightly higher than the other, or a collar needs to tilt a tiny bit. One brush stroke, one area. Puppet Warp, on the other hand, is for when an entire mass needs to move together. The whole ponytail swings differently. The torso rotates. The skirt drapes differently. One structure, one warp. There's also a really useful signal. If you've used Lasso Transform on the same spot more than 3 times and it's still not working, stop. Switch to Puppet Warp. It's the right tool for the job. Before you touch anything, duplicate your layer. This is non-negotiable. Right-click or long press your layer, then hit Duplicate. This becomes your safety net. You can toggle the original on and off to compare before and after. And please, save your .clip file too. I mean it. Good edits disappear into the drawing. If an edit is obvious, it's too strong, and you'll want that original to go back to. The Liquify tool is like a digital push and pull brush for your artwork. Instead of erasing and redrawing, you can move things around and adjust them. Liquify comes with 5 modes, summarized in this table for reference. Now let's go through each mode with an example. Push is your workhorse. It drags pixels wherever you stroke. I use this for almost everything: faces, cloth, hair. Expand bulges outward from your brush center. Use it gently on sleeves or to add a little volume to a feature. It can get weird fast on faces if you overuse it. Pinch does the opposite. It pulls inward. Great for slimming a shape or tightening up a facial feature that got a bit too wide. Push left and push right shift pixels sideways as you stroke. Useful when a 3/4 nose bridge feels 1 pixel off, or when a face feels too flat and needs a little more width. And Twirl, clockwise or anti-clockwise, is mostly a creative tool. Curls, stylized patterns, funky distortions. Not for faces unless you're going for something stylized like rotating eyes to a certain angle. 3 settings matter. Size controls how big the influence area is. Use small size for details like an eyelid, larger size for the overall head shape. Strength controls how hard each stroke pushes. Start at 10 to 25%. Low strength, many small strokes, never one violent drag. Low and slow always wins. Density controls edge softness. Softer edges blend more naturally into painted skin. You want this fairly low on faces. On the face, the goal is harmony, not a new person. You're not changing the character, you're refining what's already there. Start with structure, jaw, cheek fullness, eye height relative to each other. Then do a detail pass, mouth corners, eyelid height, brow peak. Zoom in to work, zoom out to judge. Always zoom out every few strokes. Flip the canvas horizontally. Asymmetry that was invisible before suddenly becomes obvious on the mirror. Fix it there, flip back, check again. Puppet Warp places a movable mesh over your art. Think of it like attaching invisible strings. Some pins hold areas in place, others pull and reshape everything connected to them. The mesh density setting controls how detailed the warp becomes. Lower density gives you smooth, broad movement, great for big shapes like a skirt. Higher density gives you fine control for things like individual hair strands. High density can create awkward distortions if overused though, so go medium until you know what you need. Pins are everything in Puppet Warp. There are two kinds. Anchor pins hold areas in place, and motion pins create the actual bend or pull. Place anchor pins first on everything you do not want to move. Torso, hips, feet on the ground, shoulders. These are your skeleton. Then place motion pins on what you do want to move, a hand, a leg, a strand of hair. Watch what happens when I drag a motion pin with anchors in place. The character bends naturally. Now watch what happens without anchors. The whole image just slides. That's why anchor placement is step 1, always. Here's the secret that makes Puppet Warp actually work cleanly: layer separation. Puppet Warp affects everything connected inside one layer. If your hair and body are merged, moving the hair will deform the body too. The best candidates to keep on separate layers: hair, sleeves, skirts, cloaks, tails, scarves, ribbons, anything that might need independent movement. One more thing, warping often reveals areas that were previously hidden by overlapping layers. If you haven't painted underneath the hair or behind a sleeve, you'll see empty, transparent gaps when you move things. Paint those hidden areas first, or use Liquify to blend nearby paint into the gap after. A few creative uses worth knowing. You can add flow to static hair without repainting a single strand. You can shift body weight and tilt shoulders to completely change the energy of a pose. You can even warp text, but rasterize it first and draw a thick line behind the text layer in a group. Without that thick line, Puppet Warp reads every letter individually and gets confused. Visual parts overlapping in the wrong order, or empty gaps appearing. For overlap, adjust the order setting in the tool panel or separate the offending elements onto their own layers. Here's the order I always follow, and it saves the most undue headaches. Step 1. Save and duplicate everything. Step 2. Puppet Warp for pose and big hair structure. Fix the large shapes first. Step 3. Puppet Warp on separate layers for loose parts like a cape or skirt. Step 4. Liquify for the face harmony pass. Step 5. Liquify for clothing microfolds. On this mermaid piece, the tail was fighting for attention with the character's face. A small push with Liquify and Push mode nudged it back just enough to feel secondary. None of this required redrawing a single line. Quick cheat sheet to keep in your back pocket. Face feels wrong. Liquify Push mode, 10 to 25% strength. Zoom to 200%. Pose lacks energy. Puppet Warp on the body layer. Anchor hips and feet. Tilt the shoulders. Hair looks static. Separate layer. Anchor at scalp. Motion pins at the tips. Cloth folds red flat. Find the stress point. Follow gravity with Push mode. These tools fix execution, not fundamental drawing problems. If the foundation is solid and something just isn't sitting right, that's exactly when a 30-second warp beats a 3-hour redraw. Give it a try on your next piece and see how much one small adjustment can change the whole feeling of the art. Happy tweaking.